Once, the god of death sent one of his messengers to Earth with a mission of bringing back the soul of a woman who had recently passed away. The messenger, obediently, descended to Earth and found the woman in her humble home. However, upon arrival, he was overtaken by profound sadness and concern. The woman had left behind 3 little triplet girls, still babies, who were now alone and helpless. One of the babies was still breastfeeding, another was crying desperately, and the third had cried herself to sleep, with dried tears on her face. The messenger felt a tightening in his heart as he saw the defenseless children. He knew that the father of the girls had also passed away, and that there was no one left to care for them. The idea of leaving those innocent children alone in the world was unbearable for him. With a heavy heart, the messenger decided that he could not fulfill his mission. He returned to the heavens without taking the woman's soul, hoping to find a solution for the well-being of the triplets. Upon meeting the god of death, the messenger sincerely explained the situation. "Forgive me, but I could not bring the woman's soul. There are 3 little triplets who need their mother. One is still nursing, another cries ceaselessly, and the third sleeps from exhaustion. I cannot leave them alone. Please allow the mother to live a little longer until the girls grow up and can take care of themselves." The god of death listened attentively to the messenger's account, but his expression grew severe. With a voice filled with authority and irritation, he replied, "Do you think you know more than I, who control life and death? Do you think you can question the fate I have determined? You have made a grave mistake by disobeying my orders." The messenger, with his head down, tried to explain again. "I did not intend to disobey, but I could not leave those innocent children alone. They need their mother. There is no one else to care for them." The god of death, infuriated, continued, "Your act of compassion is commendable, but it is not up to you to decide who lives and who dies. You have overstepped your bounds and now must face the consequences. For your disobedience, you will be punished. You will return to Earth and remain there until you laugh at your own folly 3 times. Only then will you be able to return to the heavens." The messenger accepted the punishment with humility, but in his heart, he believed he had done the right thing. He could not see how he could laugh at his own folly, as he did not feel he had made a mistake. With a resigned sigh, he prepared to return to Earth, uncertain about what the future held for him. The messenger was sent back to Earth, where he found a shoemaker preparing to go to town to buy warm clothes and blankets for his children as winter approached. On the way, the shoemaker saw the messenger trembling with cold and naked by the roadside. Feeling pity for him, the shoemaker decided to buy a blanket and warm clothes for the stranger instead of buying clothes for his own children. The messenger, without food or shelter, was invited by the shoemaker to go to his home. "Come with me," said the shoemaker. "Don't worry if my wife gets angry. I spent the money for our children's clothes on you, so she will be upset, but things will calm down in a few days." When they arrived at the shoemaker's house, his wife was furious to see that her husband had spent the money meant for their children's clothes on a stranger. She yelled at her husband, unaware that the stranger was a divine being. Upon seeing the scene, the messenger laughed for the first time. The shoemaker, surprised, asked, "Why are you laughing? What is so funny?" The messenger replied, "I will explain everything after I have laughed 3 times. For now, don't ask me anything." The messenger laughed because the shoemaker's wife did not know that by helping the messenger, her husband had brought a divine being into their home. Soon their lives would be blessed, but she could only see what was lost, the money meant for the children's clothes. She did not realize what was to come, a future full of happiness. The messenger began to understand that humans often can only see the immediate situation, not the bigger picture. This was his first realization of his own folly. Over time, the messenger learned the shoemaker's trade, and being a divine being, he quickly became very skilled. The shoes he made were beautiful and soon gained fame. Within a few months, the shoemaker became wealthy, and his shop became known throughout the region for its extraordinary shoes. One day, a servant from the royal palace arrived at the shoemaker's shop with a rare piece of leather. "This leather is precious," said the servant. "Make a pair of shoes for the king, but be careful. Do not make sandals, only shoes." At that time, it was customary in some places to bury the dead with sandals, not shoes. The shoemaker warned the messenger, "Be careful. You have been instructed to make shoes, not sandals. There is only enough leather for one pair, and if there is a mistake, we will be in trouble. The king will not forgive us." However, for some reason, the messenger decided to make sandals instead of shoes. When the shoemaker saw what had been done, he became furious. "You will get us killed," he shouted. "I clearly said, no sandals. Why did you make them?" At that moment, the messenger laughed for the second time. Just as the shoemaker was reprimanding the messenger, the servant of the king returned running to the shop. "Don't make shoes, make sandals," he said, breathless. "The king has just died." The shoemaker was shocked and, realizing that the messenger somehow knew what was to come, apologized. The messenger smiled and said, "It's all right. You did nothing wrong. I am just fulfilling my punishment." The messenger had laughed for the second time because it became clear that no one can predict the future. People worry and make plans, but the future often unfolds in ways we cannot foresee. We hold desires and ambitions, but, in the end, life has its own plan. Days later, 3 young women arrived at the shoemaker's shop, accompanied by an older, wealthy lady. They were there to order shoes for their weddings. The messenger instantly recognized the young women. They were the triplets he had left with their deceased mother. He asked the older lady what had happened to them. The lady explained, "These girls are not my biological daughters. I found them when they were just babies. Their mother passed away while trying to feed them, and there was no one to care for them. I had no children, so I adopted them and raised them as my own. They grew up in a wealthy environment, and now all 3 are about to marry members of the royal family." Upon hearing this, the messenger laughed for the third and final time. He then explained everything to the shoemaker. "I was wrong. Fate is much greater than we can understand. We only see what is right in front of us, but the bigger picture is beyond our comprehension. I laughed at my own folly 3 times, and now my punishment is complete. I can finally return home." With this, the messenger realized his mistake and returned to the heavens, wiser than before. He learned that the events of life are often beyond our understanding, and that worrying about the future does not change what is destined to happen. The story of the messenger teaches us a valuable lesson about the unpredictable nature of life and the importance of trusting the process. Often, we worry about the future and try to control events, but life often follows its own course, regardless of our plans. The messenger's compassion for the triplets led him to disobey the orders of the god of death, resulting in a punishment that ironically taught him the wisdom of life. The messenger's first laugh came when he realized that the shoemaker's wife, by helping him, had brought a divine being into her home without knowing it, bringing future blessings that she could not see immediately. The second laugh happened when he saw that the future is unpredictable, and that despite our plans and worries, life follows its own path. The third laugh occurred when he discovered that the triplets, whom he thought he had left in a desperate situation, had been adopted and grown up in a wealthy and loving environment. The moral of this story is that we must trust in the process of life and understand that the difficulties and challenges we face often have a greater purpose. Worrying about the future does not change what is destined to happen. Instead, we should live each moment with attention and gratitude, learning from experiences and growing through them. Just as the messenger learned, often we cannot see the bigger picture while we are in the midst of our struggles. However, over time, we realize that each challenge and each difficulty was a necessary step in our journey. True wisdom comes from understanding that life has its own plan, and that what seems like a setback is often an opportunity for growth and transformation.